I asked myself one day, what if I'm just not the relationship type? Like, all of these relationships have they failed. And I'm the common denominator. I was the person who chose this other person, and the relationship flopped and failed. So, like, what if I'm just not the relationship type? And then I realized I am the relationship type. I'm just not choosing the right people. And now that I'm in a relationship that is good and whole and fulfilling and kind and loving and not with a narcissist, it's great. I am officially the relationship type. So I think when we are like going through these relationships and we're like, oh, this just like doesn't feel good. They're not working out. It's just, I was a serial monogamist. Like, these long-term relationships where I just wouldn't give it up, and it was detrimental. Like, it made me start believing something about myself that wasn't true. I am the relationship type. The people who I was choosing to be in a relationship with were not for me. And instead of realizing that and moving on from that relationship with that person who wasn't for me, I tried really hard to stick it out because I was proving something to myself. I was showing myself that I was worth it. I was valuable. They did want me. I was someone who another person wanted to be with. But in doing so, I just reinforced the concept that I wasn't a relationship person, and it had everything to do with the other people in the relationship. And so I think when we like start battling up, I think there's like this line, right? Like, no relationship is going to be perfect. Yes, there are going to be problems. Yes, there are going to be arguments. There are going to be tough conversations. But now that I'm in a relationship with someone who has those tough conversations with me, and they're still loving and they're still kind and they're still fruitful, there's good things that come from them, I realize that having tough conversations is different than arguing. Having tough conversations is different than someone belittling you or making you feel like you don't matter or making you feel like you're wrong for what you're feeling. And I did that to the other person too. Don't get me wrong. Like, the gaslighting went both ways because it was like crazy making. It was like we couldn't see each other. And because we couldn't see each other, we couldn't have those tough conversations. But now that I know what having those difficult conversations feels like and how it can be good, I realized that I was pushing and pushing and pushing up against a wall that was never going to budge for me. And it's because that relationship wasn't for me. And so I think we have to have this clarity around like when to stick it out, when to fight it out, when the relationship is worth it, and when it's just not a relationship that is for you. And that doesn't say anything about the other person. And honestly, it doesn't say anything about you. It's just not a good match. I was talking to a friend last night. She came over and we were hanging out and having a little girls' wine night. And we were talking about relationships, and like, I just have this concept that maybe relationships aren't supposed to last forever, right? Like especially not all of them, right? Like, certain relationships are meant to teach you something. And as long as we take something out of the relationship, as long as we learn something about ourselves, about the kind of people that we do want to be with, then that relationship was worth it. And yes, it hurts. And yes, it's hard. And yes, kind of feeling that abandonment and the betrayal and like the pain of losing someone who you're really close to. Yeah, that sucks. But also, if we can choose to see relationships as like something to learn about ourselves, something to learn about like the world around us, then we can choose to come out of the relationships that are meant for us in a positive way. And trust me, when I was going through my divorce, I didn't see that. No, I was just like caught in the turmoil of all of it. Distance from it, I can see that I learned a lot. I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about the kind of person I want to be with, the kind of person I don't want to be with. And that's valuable. That's valuable information to take and move forward in life with. Because now I'm with someone who is great and lovely and someone who I can actually see being good for me long term, instead of having to like try to stick it out and prove to someone that I was worth it. The fact that my ex-husband's favorite thing about me was that I was long suffering, like that should have said something to me, right? Like, I shouldn't have to stick it out to be in a relationship. I shouldn't have to like feel like it's a battle that I have to overcome, especially not one that I'm battling by myself, right? Like it should be a thing that you do together to make sure that the relationship is prospering. And instead, it was like me like proving it to him and to me and to my parents and to everybody else. Like, no, this was going to work. So like, it's not that you're not the relationship type. It's that relationship isn't for you. But you can take something from it and move on and learn and find a relationship that is for you, because we're all the relationship type. We're literally meant for community. We're meant for connection with other people. So choose to take something from the relationships you've been in and take that so that you can move towards a relationship that is for you, because you are the relationship type. We all are.